Every civilization has its secrets, places hidden not by chance but by design. Behind locked gates, under frozen ice, or beneath silent mountains, lie the zones humanity was never meant to enter. From the political shadows of Pyongyang to the radioactive ruins of Chernobyl, the map of our world is full of invisible red lines. Yet across history, those lines never stopped us. They only dared us to cross them. We've built religions around forbidden trees, empires around restricted archives and myths, around places that reject human presence. What is forbidden always becomes irresistible, because it promises what power denies truth. Some of these places guard knowledge, others guard danger, but all guard the limits of human control. And the deeper we look, the more we realize we created the forbidden to protect ourselves from ourselves. This is not just a story about places you can't visit. It's about why we built them in the first place. Welcome to the logic of the forbidden, where the most restricted zones on Earth reveal the boundaries of power, fear, and curiosity explained. Forbidden isn't just a locked door. It's a system that decides who gets to know, who gets to live, and who must stay away. Every red zone on the map is really a story about power fragility or memory. Some places are sealed by governments because secrecy is cheaper than transparency. Others are sealed by nature because life inside is too rare or too lethal to be disturbed. We'll sort these places by the logic that created them, not just the fences that guard them. Because understanding the why explains more than listing the where. Forbidden by power covers the machinery of states and institutions that operate best in the dark. When money, weapons, or belief are involved, light becomes a liability. Room 39 represents financial opacity, where a regime converts secrets into survival. Mount Yamantau symbolizes military continuity and architecture designed to outlive a crisis. And the Vatican Apostolic Archive shows how information can be restricted without being erased. Access controlled not by locks alone, but by ritual and rules. Power hoards, then curates, then decides who may read the margins. Forbidden by nature is a different contract across the line, and nature doesn't negotiate. Here, the gatekeeper isn't a guard, it's chemistry, climate, and evolution. Mobile Cave protects a closed ecosystem that breathes toxic air and eats without sunlight. Lake Vostok hides a biosphere under miles of ice, fragile as a first breath. Snake Island enforces its boundary with venom and wings predators tuned to a habitat that never needed us. We are the invasive species the island refuses to host. Forbidden by history preserves what human hands can't replace once broken. Sometimes we seal the past not to forget it, but to stop ourselves from touching it wrong. The tomb of Qin Shi Huang is restraint in service of reverence and risk. Lascaux is a museum we can't enter because our breathing is a solvent. And Chernobyl Reactor 4 is a perimeter drawn by physics, an archive of consequence that still writes in radiation. Stand too close, and the lesson teaches you back. Across these realms, three forces repeat authority: biology and memory. Together, they form a map of where humans shouldn't go and why we keep staring anyway. That is the logic of the forbidden rules that protect, rules that conceal, and rules that tempt us to test them. Explained. The first kind of forbidden realm is powered not by danger, but by control. Secrets become the currency that sustains empires. Deep in Pyongyang's Workers' Party building, Room 39 is said to be North Korea's invisible treasury, an office without a nameplate yet worth billions. Intelligence reports describe shell companies across continents laundering money for luxury and missiles alike. No cameras, no documents, only whispers. Room 39 exists because survival requires shadows. Its secrecy is its strongest armor. Thousands of miles away in the Ural Mountains, another mystery was carved into stone. Mount Yamantau, a sealed Soviet-era facility, hides under thousands of tons of rock. The mountain breathes silence, guards patrol, satellites speculate, and Russia simply calls it a mine. Some say it's a nuclear command bunker. Others say it's a vault for the end of the world. Either way, it's the architecture of paranoia turned permanent. And while military walls protect nations, another kind of fortress protects belief: the Vatican Apostolic Archive. Buried under Rome, it holds 12 centuries of handwritten authority, from Galileo's trial to papal secrets never read aloud. Even approved scholars see only fragments. Access is rationed like oxygen. Power knows that knowledge once free is unstoppable. Together, these three sites form the triangle of secrecy where money, defense, and divinity converge. They remind us that what's most forbidden isn't always dangerous. It's simply what must remain unchallenged. The second kind of forbidden realm wasn't built by man, it was built by the earth itself. Nature, when cornered, draws lines sharper than any law. In southeastern Romania, a hole no wider than a man's shoulders descends into Movil Cave, sealed off for 5.5 million years. Inside, the air could kill you, half the oxygen, double the sulfur and life that feeds without sunlight. Pale insects with blind eyes crawl across stone, surviving in a chemical world that mirrors other planets more than Earth. Scientists enter rarely dressed like astronauts, for even breath can contaminate evolution. Far to the south, under Antarctica's 2 miles of ice, lies Lake Vostok, a world untouched for 15 million years. It's not the cold that forbids entry, it's the fear of changing something ancient by merely touching it. Russian drills pierced its shell in 2012, releasing air older than civilization itself. What they found were microbes that might have survived from Earth's first dawn, or from nowhere we've ever known. And then there's Snake Island off the coast of Brazil, where the law of survival is written in venom. Golden lancehead vipers cover every meter, their bite-dissolving flesh faster than rescue can arrive. The government forbids entry not to protect the snakes, but to protect you from the ecosystem that refuses visitors. These places prove that forbidden isn't always a punishment. Sometimes it's a warning, written in nature's own language. The final realm of the forbidden belongs to memory, where what's sealed tells us what we fear to repeat. In Xi'an, beneath a man-made hill, rests the tomb of Qin Shi Huang, the first emperor of a unified China. His terracotta army stands guard, but his chamber remains untouched for over 2,000 years. Ancient texts speak of rivers of mercury and traps against intruders, and soil tests prove the mercury is real. Archaeologists refuse to open it, not out of superstition but respect. Once history is disturbed, it can't be rewound. Thousands of miles away in France, Lascaux Cave hides the art of humanity's beginning. Paintings of bison and horses flicker under soft light made by hands that vanished 20,000 years ago. But even admiration became danger. Visitors' breath once filled the cave with fungus and crystals that ate the walls. Now it's sealed forever, replaced by replicas and irony, where copies survive because the original couldn't. And then there's Chernobyl Reactor 4, where silence hums louder than sirens. The air there still glows with invisible death, even beneath a billion-dollar steel dome. Nature returned before humans did. Wolves deer, and trees thrive among ghosts of graphite and concrete. Chernobyl's perimeter is more than radiation. It's a scar turned into a shrine. It stands as proof that forbidden zones sometimes exist to keep us from ourselves. Across all 9 sites, the pattern repeats. What we call forbidden is simply what cannot coexist with our curiosity. Power hides, nature defends, history warns. And somewhere between those 3, humanity keeps building fences only to wonder what lies beyond them. These are the 9 forbidden realms, each a mirror, each a boundary, each a lesson. Explained. We build walls and then we dream of what's behind them. The forbidden doesn't repel us, it defines our curiosity. Every culture, from ancient dynasties to digital empires, has drawn a line and dared someone to cross it. It's how myths are born. Pandora's box, Eden's apple, or the locked doors of Room 39. The unknown becomes irresistible, not because it's hidden, but because it's human nature to search for limits. We don't want to own the secret. We want to understand why it exists. That's why explorers risk ice poison and radiation just to prove we can touch the untouchable. The forbidden is both a mirror and a magnet. It reflects our fear while pulling us toward discovery. Some are drawn by power, others by wonder, but all by the same quiet question. What if I could see it? Yet every revelation rewrites the boundary. Once we see inside, the mystery dies and we go searching for a new one. It's the paradox of progress. The closer we get to knowledge, the more we crave what's still unknown. And maybe that's why the world will always keep its secrets. Because if everything were open, curiosity would have nowhere left to go. The forbidden, in truth, is what keeps humanity moving forward by staying just out of reach. Every gate we close is a story waiting to be told. And every gate we open rewrites what it means to be human. From forbidden islands to sealed archives, we've seen that isolation doesn't just protect, it preserves meaning. Sometimes we guard danger. Sometimes we guard beauty we can't yet understand. The world beyond the gate isn't another land. It's another version of ourselves. A reflection of our fear of chaos, our hunger for control, and our need to believe some mysteries should remain untouched. The 9 forbidden realms remind us that secrecy is not the enemy of truth. It's the silence that gives truth its weight. Without borders, knowledge has no shape. Without limits, curiosity has no direction. But there's a quiet irony here. The act of forbidding something guarantees it will never be forgotten. Because the human story is not one of obedience. It's one of endless reaching. We dig under mountains, dive beneath ice, and stare through radiation, not because we're reckless, but because we're wired to wonder. That wonder is both our greatest gift and our greatest risk. So the next time you see a place marked "Do Not Enter," remember, it's not the wall that matters. It's what it says about us. This is the logic of the forbidden. The story of why the world hides and why we can't stop looking. Explained.